Truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. And my friends, we see truth played out every day in the movement of price and volume. We look at our candlesticks. We use Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. We use just a simple volume indicator with average volume, and we use trend lines. And of course, those of you who are Patreon members, if you need one good reason to be a Patreon supporter, I would say, besides our Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way training that you immediately get upon becoming a Patreon member at any of the 3 levels of support, it would be the weekly vertical crossovers that we send out each and every week. Here's one that we are looking at. We go through the entire S&P 500 each and every week. We look for stocks that are going from green candles to red candles or red candles to green candles. We look at the volume. We look at the historicity, I don't have that word right, the historical movements of it in the past. And we, again, give you some potential candidates for you to practice trade. We're not a stock calling service, we're an education firm, but you need to find real stocks that you can put into your little list and then look to practice trade. You want to find candidates that work time and time again by doing something we call backtracking. Now, I want to show you American Airlines Group. Now, again, no specific recommendation, not telling you to spend any money. In fact, I'm telling you not to spend money, but I'm telling you to consider a potential practice trade on it this week. Look at how it has set itself up as we move into the week. Volume's nice so far. We've had lots of high volume over the last few weeks. And look at this doji with high volume as it's trying to find its interim bottom after many, many weeks, or we'll just say a bottom period. And we see a green candle establishing this week. Important to look at, to consider. This is one of up to 20 candidates that we give you to look at each and every week. Our Patreon members get them. If you're a Patreon member, you're not paying attention to this each and every week. We upload it first to the Patreon page. Then we also send it out in our email on Thursdays. Now, it is extremely important for you to find candidates, other things to look at, and to practice trade. And this is one of the best things we do. There are all sorts of services that charge crazy amounts of money to help you find things that you can practice trade. And we try to give you 20 candidates, up to 20, each and every week. It does depend on what the market is doing, how much it's fluxing, and how well those candidates shape up. But again, something for you, another little bonus that we give to our Patreon members. Enough of that. Let's jump into the markets today. We see stocks and bonds up, gold and Bitcoin down. Again, we've got a pretty flat trend line as we started. Of course, we had decent volume last week. Volume's looking okay this week. And we see a green up candle up just a little bit today, 0.07%. I wonder if this up move is petering out or not. Don't know that it is. Could be. And if it is, and it's failing right here where it topped several times before and rolls over and heads down, that might be a strong down. Don't know if it's going to do that or not. We shall continue to wait, watch, and see as the markets continue to move. Now, lots of slowing over the course of today. You can see how things really popped up and then have sort of meandered up a little and then down. Yesterday up, down some, you can see in the afternoon after popping up a little in the morning. So again, we'll keep a close eye on the S&P 500. NASDAQ 100, again, bumping up. It was up about the same 0.06% again. Decent volume last week, okay volume so far this week. And again, we can see where things sprung up yesterday and again, moving off that some today. So we shall again keep an eye, a pretty flat trend line, nothing super exciting at this point. So we will keep our eye on stocks, see where they are actually going. Now let's look at bonds. Bonds rebounding quite a bit, up 1.70%, our big mover for the day. We saw the high last week at 89.05, this week at 89.62. So overall, again, up, not a great deal, but a decent candle forming. Lots of high volume last week. And again, we're in our first day of the latest 2-day candle. We'll see how that wraps up tomorrow, if indeed it hits the average. But you can see over the last 2 days, after bonds pulled back on Monday, how they are moving up. And again, we've reset that trend line, not as flat as the S&P and the NASDAQ, but again, not just rocketing up, but decent movement. Now, we look at where we are with gold. Gold, of course, had 3 weeks of trying to move up. Originally, when it popped up that week, didn't do a whole lot more than that first week beginning the 16th of October over the last 2 weeks, but definitely falling off this week, as we talked about yesterday. Silver pulling back too. When we look at the precious metals, down 1% for the day on gold. So you can see here on the 2-day chart as it is really sloping over. So we'll keep our eye on gold as it loses some of its luster. And lastly, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Down a little bit more than gold, 1.03%. Again, we can see down in the morning, recovering some in the afternoon. And again, sort of peaking out at about the same spot, going a little bit higher, but candle getting smaller, and the wick just barely sticking over it. So we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin too, seeing if it has run its gamut yet, or if it's just, slowly percolating up, maybe gathering some energy to rebound up again. Folks, we always love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com. If you'd like to support us, we'd love to have a Patreon member, and of course to share all the great stuff, the 3-wave trades, the up to 20 weekly vertical crossovers each and every week, along with our Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies that we send out early for Patreon members. In fact, the 3-wave trades and Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies already available for Patreon members at the Patreon site. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.